Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Here's Alday.
What is SWGOH-ing On with TW Matchmaking? Welcome back, Islanders. Today we're going to talk about a hot topic, or certainly a hot topic for me at the moment, and that is the poor matchmaking in Territory Wars. Now, let me give a little bit of background. So I used to be in a very serious guild, one that would focus on things, and I never used to take part in TW because TW meant you had to learn all these other proprietary counters, different teams at different skill levels, you had different modding, you had different mechanics going on. It suddenly became very different from GAC, that was my favourite. So rather than sort of join both and join the TW and then have to learn all these, I just opted out of TW. And maybe I was the problem. But now I've joined a new guild, a guild that is a community guild, people that are friends, people that enjoy playing the game, people that don't really, it doesn't affect them whether they win or lose. They just enjoy it if they win, but they're not going to get too bothered about it. But recently this week, the last two TWs, we've had massive mismatches. And the guilds we're facing had 150 million more GP than us. So simply, we just didn't bother. Now, I didn't mind not bothering, because you just pick up the second place rewards, anything. There'd be nothing worse than if you actually tried against these guilds, and in the end, you came up just a little short. We just didn't bother. So it's a testament to the wonderful leaders and the wonderful people running this guild that they identified it was a mismatch, and they just said, look, just pop down some funny meme teams, have some fun, don't worry about it, practice if you want, but if you don't, that's okay, don't worry about it. So where does it come from? Well, matchmaking TW comes from a very long time ago where there's an exploit, but it's not an exploit. The fact is, it is non-participation. It is me as the problem. So if you have a guild of 50 people and you have, say, 12 or 13 people don't join, then your joining GP means that the people you have joined, you end up with maybe 37 people joining, but they are very, very condensed at very high GP rosters. And then when you get matched against somebody with 50 people joined, it becomes such a massive mismatch in the Omicrons, the number of GLs, even the ships. Just across the board, it becomes a mismatch. And it's always been there as a problem in the game. It's always been exploit's probably the best word to use, and it comes about for a specific reason. Now please let me get this 100%. I am not blaming any guild that does this. In fact, I used to be one of these people. They're not cheating. They're just a certain type of guild that runs their TW in a certain way, or they have a certain number of people who just don't enjoy TW or don't have time for TW. That's all perfectly fine, and the game should allow that. But what it shouldn't do is by accommodating those guilds and accommodating that way of playing, it shouldn't affect other guilds where everybody's encouraged to join, because literally it wants everyone to play every facet of the game. CG have always built their game on that sort of, let's get people doing as much as possible in game, spend as much time in game, and therefore every game mode should be enjoyed. It shouldn't be something that you join and you think, this is terrible. And really, the big losers here, the only losers, shall I say, the losers are the people who are actually spending on resources specifically for TW. And then they're getting a mismatch. Because the mismatch means that, maybe they put an Omicron on Dadbod Boba, maybe they've just got the new focus datacron for Dadbod Boba, maybe they've got a specific TW Omicron that they're looking forward to using, or they've just got Third Sister or Grand Inquisitor. All of these teams, and they're excited about playing, and then there's such a mismatch that use of the resources doesn't give them any enjoyment, any benefit. And how does that make them feel? Well, you just feel like, I wasted that. I put an Omicron on, I could have put it on a GAC thing, where the matchmaking is still not perfect, but at least it reflects a skill level, and at least you probably are going to get 1 or 2 out of your 3 matches that are going to be okay. So the real people that are losing here, the people that are actually spending resources on TW and then getting this poor matchmaking. And I think this is a real problem for the game. I think this is something that we want to talk about today and maybe propose some solutions or some things that I certainly would propose as a better way of doing things. Let's start with a simple one. Now, the problem comes because some guilds have people sitting out. Now, that doesn't affect them, and it doesn't affect the people sitting out. It's all kind of fine. So, why does the matchmaking not start with number of people? Why does it start with the GP that's joined? I mean, if you just took everybody, all the guilds, okay, these have 37 people joined, here's your brackets with 38, here's your brackets with 39, here's your brackets with 40, and did that as a shuffle first, and then did the GP, then everyone would get an even matchup. You would no longer have these weird mismatches of 50 people versus 37 people. It seems like quite a simple things for CG to consider, and you think even inside their ability at coding, they could probably manage that filter first. If they have a problem, they could probably ask the little paperclip in the top corner of their coding, and the paperclip will probably tell them how to sort by number instead of GP. You could also, the other thing it does, which is a bit strange, is it lets the smaller team determine the number of teams per zone, right? So if it's 50 people versus 35, it asks you to put 35 teams in a zone. Well, why not 50? Why is it the smaller team? If you're joining with 35 people, you should have your roster stretched. Then again, it would be far, far closer because they would be having to clear 50 teams on the front zones. And there's only 35 of them. They're also having to put down the same number of defense as though 50 people joined. I think then you'd see a lot more guilds asking for a slightly higher joining then, because it's going to start putting them at a bigger disadvantage. So that's the second thing that CG could consider. The fourth thing, well, you could go for a GAC style. We talked about a GAC style skill rating for the guild. You know, who knows how, like, which is the best guild in the world? Nobody knows. Who's best at TW? Nobody knows. You know, there are 16 people up the top who are in a different sort of system. But essentially, where's your guild? Where's your guild? It doesn't have a score the way you do in GAC. Well, why not? Why not just bring in the same squishing type GAC championship, call it TW championships? Go that way. And then again, you're going to have, if people want to have 35 people joining, then they'll be playing at a certain level. If they keep winning, they'll go higher and higher and higher until they hit their zone. If 50 people join and they're having fun, they will get to their level. Absolute perfect solution. You just end up with teams or guilds at the levels of good. Of course, yeah, teams could go on an area where they threw a couple by everybody joining, and then they could leave 35 to guarantee a win. There's another solution though. It's another solution that would again mean you don't have this issue, and CG already have the coding. Because they've already got the coding for GAC, they just need to try and copy that coding across, and I know there's issues in that. Copy that across, but actually make that matchmaking about TW and guilds. Again, let's go one step further. Why don't I get a bracket of 8 guilds? Why don't we have, same as we have in GAC, we have a first round, a second round, a third round. Why don't we do it that way? Then, if you get mismatched, or if there's one guild in that bracket of 8 that shouldn't be there, well, they're going to get first. They're going to win their 3 matches. But no matter which guild you are, you're going to end up having a match, probably out of those 3, that's significantly better and closer, and you can work and enjoy, again, you can enjoy the game more, you have more fun with it, you can brackets, you can see who you're up against. That would be more fun. But let's talk about why none of these work, or why this is the real problem. The real problem is the rewards. The rewards are out of date. The rewards for TW were set so long ago that a point where no guild, or only certain guilds in the world, were over a 480 mil GP. I remember when TW started, we had to have everybody join even to get to like 360 mil. So, the highest level of rewards given out for 480 million GP, I think. Anyone above that, so if your guild is 700 million, you can drop all the way down to 480 million without losing rewards. That, my friend, is the problem. If CG just looked at it and they extended the rewards up and they created new brackets so that if you're at 700, you got some really, really good rewards, then I guarantee you teams that have 35 people joining today would suddenly go to 50. Because people would want those Omicrons, they would want those Relic 9 materials, they would want shards of a new character. They'd want something, you know? They need to extend the rewards up now. And I think it's due because there's no real reason why we don't just give a little bit more. And I think that would then mean that teams wouldn't be able to cut or sandbag down to a level and still get the same rewards. So, let me know what you would salute. Let me know your thoughts on my ideas down below in the comment section. I hope you're well. Everyone enjoy your SWGOHs, enjoy your TW, and hopefully CG can do something about this. Maybe.